host for MyMMAnews.com, being joined by Matt Hicks, who is making his pro debut finally after such a successful amateur record. He went 7-0 undefeated. Absolutely impressive. Now he's making the transition into his pro career at CFFC 97. It's going down on May 29th at the 2300 Arena, and he's taking on Kyle Broadwater. First and foremost, as always, I got to thank my man. Matt, how are you, brother?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. You do a lot for the local MMA community, so we really appreciate you, doing interviews for us and building up the local fighters. So thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure, dude. And every time you and I get to talk, I enjoy it to the utmost. So thank you again for joining me. I really appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to this fight because, again, I've seen you fight for years now. So I got to ask, man, it's short notice, right? So you stay in shape. I know that. Crazy 88. You guys don't have camps because you're always in shape, as we've talked. So you got to have the confidence steaming to make your pro debut on short notice.
Yeah, we're feeling pretty good. Obviously, we like to have a quote unquote like a full camp, just make sure everything's fired, make sure our lungs are going, make sure our cardio's up, and, hey, we can strategize and game plan. But we've been duking it out all through COVID. We've been training all the way through. So we've never really had a lapse in taking breaks or anything like that. So we're feeling pretty confident for this fight and taking on short notice. We like the matchup, so we said yes to it.
How short notice did you take this fight? When did you find out?
I got a call on Sunday afternoon, I believe, what it was. So 2 weeks notice, they come out there and fight. So
2 weeks notice, and that doesn't bother you in the slightest. Not having a full camp, nothing. You're just ready to make your pro debut and get into it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Like I said, we're always training. We're always training pretty hard. Actually, I just finished up coaching wrestling practice, so I'm always in there wrestling. My cardio is feeling good. Grappling conditioning is feeling good. So we're always ready to go.
I want to talk about the mental fortitude real quick because, again, you're taking it on 2 weeks notice, a pro debut. That's such a big deal in the young fighter's life. And as always, you just seem as smooth and calm as a cucumber, ready to go. Whereas some people, when I talk to them about their pro debut, they can talk all the goodness, but you can read between the lines. There's nerves. They need that full camp. They're thriving on how many rounds and this and that. Their needs, and it just seems like you're so whimsical and ready to go at all times. Obviously, you must be booming with confidence, especially with your camp.
Yeah, I trust my coaches. They really tell us when we're ready to go and when we're not. So I put all my faith and all my trust into my coaches, John Del Bruce, Sebastian Ramirez, Master Julius at Crazy 88. I trust those guys wholeheartedly. So when they tell me, hey, this is a good matchup, we should take it, or we're ready to go, let's look for a fight, I throw all my confidence to them. Whatever they say, we do it. So.
Now, obviously, it's been over a year, and the crazy world we live in with the pandemic, COVID-19, everything, it's been a year since you fought. So why now? Especially on short notice. I'm not going to be able to not elaborate on that enough, but why now?
Timing was kind of a big thing. We put our name out in the hat for a few different fights and didn't get selected as an opponent for one reason or not. But our opponent stepped up and said, yes, let's do it. It just worked out in our favor this go around. So a little bit of a luck, I think. But we're really happy for the opportunity and ready to get going.
Do you think that your amateur record obviously speaks for itself and why you're having a tough time finding opponents?
I don't think so. If you look at my fights, a lot of people say, oh, all he does is just take people down, hold them down, and hug them to death. So that's one of the reasons why I want to get back out there. I want to show some of the skills that we've developed, through COVID times and through training, and show I'm more of a complete martial artist and a complete MMA fighter. That we do have a few other tools in the bag to show.
He's a gentleman and he's humble, ladies and gentlemen. I got to tell you, Matt Hicks. But I know you're staying busy at all times. I got to ask you. You were cornering our guy Matt Semmelsberger out in Vegas in his recent fight when he defeated Jason Witt, first round knockout. What was that experience like, man? Obviously, I know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but as I told you beforehand, I was chopping it up with Matt, and I was like, what are the odds? What's the over-under that, one, Matt Hicks had his sweatpants tucked into his socks, and two, can you just tell me about the time out in Vegas?
It was a fantastic opportunity. I mean, going out there and corner Matt Summelsberger, obviously we knew his opponent was a heavy grappling base, so we worked a lot on takedown defense, getting back up to our feet. So for him to have me out there, I mean, that was, almost a once in a lifetime experience,
Mm.
getting out there. Seeing martial art, seeing MMA at the highest level, especially before making my pro debut. I mean, it was very eye awakening for me. It's like, hey, it's not that unachievable. It's very realistic to get to that level, and I see what it takes, and that's the ultimate goal for me. But as far as the sweatpants tucked into the socks, that's a signature look for all wrestlers going around town. So if you go to any wrestling tournament, all wrestlers have their socks tucked in. I even actually not persuaded, I got Coach John Del Bruce to get him to start tucking his socks in now. So anytime we work out, that's just a thing that we do. So
anytime I've seen you around the fights, it's obviously become a signature, and it's just one of those things where I love it, man. It just makes one of those things Matt Hicks. But
yeah,
so
actually, I get a lot of crap from Sebastian, Coach Sebastian on the court. He's like, "Oh man, here goes Hicks again. His socks tucked in," and I was like, "Coach, come on, one day you'll do it." So
well, I
that's
mean,
the ultimate goal.
you got the kind of two differences there. Like you said, you're coming from the wrestling background. He's coming from the Muay Thai background. He'll get there eventually, right?
But he likes the high shorts.
Exactly.
So it's an easy transition. Go from high shorts and tuck in your sweatpants.
Do you guys go tit for tat in the gym when he talks about your high socks and tucking it in, and then you have high trunks, so what did you guys go back and forth?
A little bit. There definitely is some of that.
That's awesome. So I'm glad you obviously had a great time out in Vegas. The UFC experience was awesome to you. Now, obviously, a different route with UFC Fight Pass, CFFC
Yep.
being on there, and you having such a broad spectrum of people to perform in front of. Does that make you more eager, add more pressure? And obviously, CFFC, how does it feel to fight for such a prestigious organization?
I'm very thankful for the opportunity. I mean, we're trying to get on a big promotion for a while now. So it seemed like short notice was going to be the avenue to go, waiting for opponent to drop out and fill a slot. So that's why we kind of stayed ready the whole time. But yeah, like you said, I mean, this is a very big promotion, one of the largest regional promotions in the U.S. right now, big feeder organization for the UFC. I mean, obviously, I'm not, oh, I get one win and I'm in the UFC, that type of deal. I'm very realistic as far as that goes, but I know this is a good opportunity to showcase some of my skills and to have it on a national platform where, hey, I could show some of my skills that we do have and we have developed in the room.
Now, obviously, you're going to have a dance partner that night, Kyle Broadwater. He's 0-2 as a pro, but his wins and losses as an amateur, but 0-2 as a pro, and he's coming off of a stoppage loss. So I want to ask, what do you know about him?
We don't know a whole lot. I mean, obviously, looking at some of his footage, looking at his amateur record, he actually had a pretty good amateur record. Some of the guys that he's fought have been pretty tough. Pro-wise, I know there's a couple tough losses that he took, but we're expecting a very tough opponent, a very big opponent. I know his weight's kind of fluctuated a little bit from 55 to 45. So we're expecting a big guy, big physical guy. So we're just ready for all aspects.
And this will be your first fight at featherweight, right?
It will be. It will be. I did have one catch weight at 140 for one of my amateur fights, but definitely the first time stepping in at featherweight.
Are you planning on fighting at featherweight in the future, or is this just one of those, it's my pro debut, don't feel like taking the whole weight cut so drastically, and this is why we're at where we're at?
Because of short notice, we like 145 for that. But wherever the wind takes me, wherever we can get matchups, wherever it makes sense. I feel like I'm not a small 135er, so we feel pretty good stepping in at 45 as well.
Yeah. So what did you think about the matchup? Obviously, you talk very humbly about yourself. Oh, well, when you watch me and this, that, and the other, and you talk pretty humble about yourself, but obviously you were 7-0 as an amateur. So I want to talk about, what do you think about the matchup?
We like the matchup. I'm pretty confident. Obviously, we wouldn't take the fight if we weren't confident. But we know that this guy's a very dangerous opponent as well. I mean, it's a fight at the end of the day. I mean, you can always get hit with a big bomb. Guy might have some sneaky submissions, or he just might be a grinder. We're expecting the guy come in really good shape. He had an opponent the whole time, but his opponent dropped out. So we're expecting the guy to be in very good shape. We expect him to be big and strong, so obviously looking for big punches. And you never know. His last fight was a year ago also, so I'm sure he's had some skill development. So we're just ready and hopefully we have something in there to get the job done.
Obviously, I don't want to talk about your game plan, not asking you to give that away, but what are some of the things that you have decided to focus on while in these COVID times and having the time to focus on training?
Everything, everything. We focus on everything. I we don't have quite the skills ready to go to where my ultimate dream and goal is, to make it to the UFC. So we've been building skills everywhere. Obviously, a lot of development on my striking, a lot on my jiu-jitsu, even on my wrestling. We're still doing a lot of skill building just overall.
Mm.
So we haven't really like focused on, hey, we're only going to get better at jiu-jitsu. Hey, we're only going to get better at boxing. It's been everywhere. Absolutely everywhere.
If I'm not mistaken, you're 31 years old now, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So making your debut at 31 now, some people are going to say like it's a young man's game. You have your Randy Couture's, you have everything. You know where I'm going with this, but I have to ask, what are your long-term goals with this? What do you have to say to people wondering why make your pro debut at 31? And do you plan on staying active to make up for the lost time?
Yeah, definitely plan on being very active. But what I like to tell people is I have highway miles on my body. I don't have city miles. So hopefully I'll have the longevity, keep it going for a few years. I think being a little more older, mature fighter, I understand what kind of dedication, what kind of drive. I don't want to say sacrifices it takes, because to me, the ultimate sacrifice is not getting your hand raised. So I think being a more mature fighter, you don't have to worry about, financial issues or going out drinking late at night, not showing up for workouts or anything like that. I like to think that I have a very focused and driven mind. So I think that actually plays into my advantage being an older fighter coming into MMA.
And that's one thing, like I said, we talked about it earlier in the interview, is your sense of calmness, especially when under fire. I mean, 2 weeks you got the pro debut and you didn't wince in a little bit. So where do you think, like you said, highway miles, I'm trying to figure out how to word this the best way, but where does that come from, man? I mean, like that level of confidence just isn't that achievable for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to think it comes from my parents. I mean, they're both very hard workers. My father was a very successful wrestler. So that's the only thing I know. It's just, hey, go in there and keep working out. I don't know what I would do if I wasn't training right now. I guess sitting on the couch, not doing anything, but that's just not very appealing to me. So I love being in the gym, whether it's coaching or teaching or training. I'll always be in there, always be involved with wrestling as far as coaching capacity at some point. So I just like being in the gym. I like training. It's just, I don't know anything else, I should say. That's the mindset I have.
Now, we're 31 now. Obviously, you have goals in this sport. Can you talk about it? Obviously, this is your pro debut, so you're not saying one into the UFC, but I'm sure you've talked to your coaches. Can you kind of detail what you have as a blueprint of what you want to do from CFFC pro debut, building your resume, build the career, build your audience, obviously, and then making it to the show?
Yep. I mean, it's no secret. I mean, the ultimate goal, I feel like, for any mixed martial artist is to make it to the UFC, be a UFC world champion. And along the way, wherever the career path takes me, I'm just excited to get out there. Obviously, you have to have a few wins underneath your belt before you start getting those kinds of looks. So we're prepared for the long haul. We know the UFC is not really looking for, 31-year-olds making their pro debut or anything like that. So we're just going to grind it out one win at a time, and whatever it needs to do to get to that level. Hopefully my skills and being an exciting fighter will get me there. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do.
And I'm not pushing the whole 31 thing, because obviously what the UFC is going to be looking for, what any promotion is going to be looking for, is anybody that's going to get in there and put their all into it. And you do always do that. That's why I've become a fan of yours. I enjoy watching you fight. So I got to ask you, with that being said, what's your prediction? Because you have this time and you need to make the best of it. So you need to get the most eyes on you in the time that we do have, right? So
Sure.
How are we planning on taking this guy out moving forward?
Hopefully we got one of the tools in the tool bag that'll get the job done. I don't like,
I know. I was hoping something changed. I was hoping something might have changed over COVID times.
I think this is our third interview together. You're always looking for a prediction, but I'm predicting, hopefully, walk away with my hand raised. So
Always, man. You're always respectful. You're always humble. And I mean, I've talked to some of your past opponents who's even said, like, the dude's impossible to hate. He's just such a nice guy. So, I mean, I wish you nothing but the best, man. And I look forward to seeing this fight. Obviously, I'm going to be there Saturday. So, best of luck in your pro debut. Best of luck going forward. I'll talk to you guys on Saturday. Crazy 88, Sebastian, all you guys. I look forward to it, man. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
There he goes, Matt Hicks. He's taking on Kyle Broadwater in his featherweight debut and his pro debut, going down at CFFC 97, May 29th at the 2300 Arena on UFC Fight Pass. You don't want to miss this guy, Matt Hicks. For My MMA News, I'm Adam Christ. Talk to you soon.